webinar now. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us again for our Coffee Talks, TBSC Coffee Talks. In today's session, we will be discussing Zoom versus Teams, which is better for your business. As remote working continues to grow, there's certainly been an increase in the usage of Zoom and Teams, so we're going to go ahead and look at the comparisons, benefits, and features of Zoom versus Teams to help you make a decision for your business. I'd like to start off by saying thanks for joining us. We do have a hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC. You can see in the lower right corner of the screen. Please use this hashtag if you'd like to communicate with us on social media. Feel free to use it on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or even on YouTube. This session will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel, so feel free to follow us at TBSC on YouTube to keep up with the Coffee Talk sessions. So first and foremost, let's really figure out what is Zoom and what is Teams. So in this slide, we're going to go over what is Zoom. As you may know, Zoom is a global video communications provider, and you can see a picture of it on your screen here. The mission statement of Zoom is making video communications frictionless. Now, if you've ever used Zoom before, you certainly have used the interface, and as you can see on the screen here, it's really user-friendly. You can see everyone's faces when you're discussing with them. So I believe that their mission statement they are living up to. Now, Zoom's philosophy is to empower people to accomplish more while using Zoom. Their aim is to deliver happiness by valuing their customers, teammates, and themselves. I pulled their philosophy from their website, and personally, I feel like they definitely are empowering people to accomplish more while using Zoom, especially during this time with remote working growth. It's been a very big benefit having these virtual meetings. It helps people not miss out on the in-person communication, as well as conducting business meetings and even used for classroom settings. On the other hand, what is Microsoft Teams? So Microsoft Teams is a global virtual workspace. So you can see a picture of it here. If you've ever used Teams before, you know that there's a whole bunch more functionality that goes into it other than just video chats. With Microsoft Teams, their mission is to help people and organizations achieve more while using Teams. And I believe that this mission statement is also true. I certainly really enjoy using Teams, especially because of the collaboration features. It's very flawless when it comes to communicating with my team, especially since most of us are doing remote working now. It's really easy as far as breaking down our team into different channels. I can communicate with just the marketing department or the sales team very easily. Now, Microsoft also is a hub for teamwork, so this means that Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, etc. are all built into Microsoft Teams, so it makes file sharing extremely easy and everything can be edited in real time. Now I've drawn up a comparison chart here. I'll go over this very briefly because later on in the presentation we'll kind of dive deeper. But as you can see, this comparison chart is very simple to kind of compare the differences between Zoom and Microsoft Teams. Now, both do offer free versions, which is fabulous. I feel that if you really want to test this out, pardon me, if you really want to test this out, definitely try the free versions first. That way you can figure out which is best for your business. There are certain limitations, of course, to free versions, but you can certainly make them work for you just to get a general idea of which platform would be better for you. There are certain limitations, obviously, to the amount of participants that can be included in Zoom or Teams. I would say if you have a smaller business, Zoom might be a better way to go just because the business version allows 1,000 participants. Whereas with Microsoft Teams, if you have a larger business and you are looking to do a whole bunch of training, marketing events, conferences, etc., they do have an ability to host a Teams live event for up to 20,000 viewers, which I find amazing. Both offer customizable video backgrounds. This wasn't something that Teams was doing originally, but it was definitely pushed with the most recent update to create virtual backgrounds, just because they are trying to stay cutting edge with Zoom. And also they received a lot of feedback. Microsoft is very open to feedback, and after receiving certain suggestions, they have definitely made an effort to make Microsoft Teams a really big contender for remote working. So yes, if you haven't tried it yet, virtual backgrounds are available. I would say definitely have some fun with that. You can upload different pictures and make it really big and fun. Now also with the security, what I find really interesting is Microsoft has been in the game for years. They take security extremely seriously, and as far as security being a priority, Microsoft has definitely always made it so. They have encrypted meetings, and all documents that are shared are encrypted as well. Whereas with Zoom, there's definitely been some security issues. In April, they did start to focus more on fixing the security issues, and they are taking it more seriously. But like I said, we're going to review it a little bit more as we continue onwards. I did just want to say here, though, that our questions and answers section is open in the right-hand side. Please, if you have any questions or comments, want to share your thoughts, your opinions, please leave it in the questions and answers section on the right-hand side of your screen. I will certainly take the time to review your questions and answers. Feel free to drop them throughout the session, and I'll try to check them as we go along here. Now here's the question. The battle, Zoom versus Teams. Are you still unsure of which remote working communication tool is best for your business? I would say if you are still unsure, I definitely consider both as options. Both have very good benefits and features, and I'll try to review them as best as I can for you today. So first and foremost, there are similarities between Zoom and Teams. Like I said before, there are free versions, which is fabulous if you want to test them out before purchasing. Now, other similarities include online meetings, chatting, calls, screen sharing, file sharing, virtual backgrounds, and even room systems or huddle rooms. Those would be like taking a meeting and doing breakout sessions from that. So say you have 20 people in a call and you want to break it down into 5 people in a group chat, you can do that and then rejoin the meeting room afterwards with everybody again. I've seen this used for different types of collaborating when it comes to building team morale and team spirit. You can definitely have game nights and things like that as well if you are interested in doing something like that. I've also seen different departments break out as well and work on their individual tasks and then come together at the end of the meetings and share what they were working on with each other. So I believe that this is a really good collaboration tool that both Zoom and Teams have, just to keep it alive, keep the connection alive between the employees. That way there is no disconnect, and it reflects a lot of how collaboration works in the real office space. Now I'm going to review the differences here. So let's just focus on Zoom real quick. Zoom is in partnership with Slack, and it offers a different set of technical integrations. Many would say they still prefer the Zoom interface, and there's little to no support or IT support or training. Zoom is very easy to use. With Zoom, it's really great. You just sign up for the free version, and you can just start immediately making meetings, joining meetings, etc. It's very easy to use. If you haven't given a shot yet, I would say definitely just sign up for it. Why not? But I would be wary of the security issues, which I will discuss later on in the presentation. But yeah, I would say that Zoom, as far as differences, a lot of the research I've conducted has shown that many still prefer the Zoom interface. My opinion is because it's so user-friendly and you can see everyone's face on the screen when they're talking, it just makes it easier for communication. However, Teams has made updates in the past. I believe they only had between 4 and 8 people allowed to be viewed on screen, but that is changing. I believe they are rolling out the new change starting in September, but I've used Teams for calls, I think up to 11 people so far, and I've seen videos for all of them. It's interesting. They definitely took inspiration, I feel like, from Zoom, but like I said, they are very open to feedback, so they've definitely made these updates themselves. And I've definitely enjoyed using Teams more now so than Zoom, just because of the ability to see everyone as they're talking, which is really nice. Now, the differences with Teams. Microsoft has been around a lot longer than Zoom. Even though Teams only came around in 2016, Microsoft has been in the business for years, and before Teams, the big head honcho was Skype. But since Microsoft is retiring Skype for Business, Teams is now a really big contender, and they're pushing a lot of their upgrades with the focus of Microsoft Teams in mind. Teams is the one-stop shop for anything Microsoft. It's really fabulous with the integration, very easy to use as far as file sharing goes. I would say that perhaps you might need a bit of training to know how to do the file sharing, creating channels, scheduling meetings, but for the most part, if you've used Skype before or a scheduling system to do meetings, you could probably pick up the flow of this relatively easily. But thankfully, Microsoft does offer free training for you and your team if you need something like that. Microsoft also offers the ability to integrate third-party apps, which is fabulous. So if you are using something that isn't Microsoft related, of course, you can get in contact with them, and they can modify Teams for you to ensure that there's integration. So an example of this would be if you're using VoIP, you can get VoIP integrated with Teams. Now on to security, and I find security just absolutely interesting, especially within the past couple of months with the big push for remote working. Some security flaws have come out with Zoom. Security risks with Zoom include hacking. So Zoom, like I said, is a relatively new platform compared to Microsoft. So there's a new set of features, default settings, and usage terms. So hackers are seeing opportunities to attack your Zoom account, your Zoom meetings. Now, Zoom is trying to earn customer trust back, and this was done in April of 2020, so this year. They have released a security-focused update in hopes to fix Zoom bombing, which is uninvited people joining Zoom meetings and often sharing disturbing content or just creating chaos for the meeting and distractions. There's also the issue of compromised accounts. So reading a few articles where you should really pay attention to the information you've imported into the profile section of your Zoom account. You don't want to put, obviously, too much personal details on the internet, but with Zoom, with compromised accounts, they get your email address and password, and they're able to access your personal information, such as date of birth, email address, etc. And this certainly can be an issue for identity fraud. And with their update in April of 2020, they've also tried to solve the end-to-end encryption problem, which I'll go into further detail about. Zoom calls and storage, the security issue. So there's been a big issue with security in China lately that's come to many of our attention. So some non-China users had calls routed through China, and usually what this means is anything associating with China or going through China may be legally obligated to disclose these keys to authorities in China. So one of the things is if you are using Zoom and you're a paid member, the question is, do you have the ability to decide where your videos are stored, your recordings of the meetings, where your meetings are posted. And unfortunately, Zoom has come out and said that during heavy traffic flows, your calls may get diverted, and sometimes there's a failure of geofencing practices because of this heavy traffic influx. So I would say, if this is something that concerns you, definitely keep this in mind. There is unfortunately the big TikTok issue going on right now. Certain countries such as India have banned TikTok because of it being a Chinese-run application, and I think America is also considering this. So I would say, if this is a concern for you, definitely do some more research into it. But you can always use Teams because it probably has better security features, especially with how long Microsoft has been around. I would say how to avoid security issues with Zoom. Definitely update your application. Like I said, Zoom did this big update back in April, so please update your application if you haven't already. There are certain features that have been added, such as password protection. There are ID meetings now, but you keep them private. Don't share them openly. Zoom has also added the feature of a waiting room, and Teams also has this feature as well, where people who are outside of your organization or outside the invite will be sitting in a waiting room before being accepted into the phone call. You can disable your file transfers, and you can also manage the participants. So what I mean by that is you can drop them off the call if they aren't part of your business. You can mute them, and you can also turn off their video camera. Now I'm going to talk about the security of Teams. Like I said before, there's full end-to-end encryption, so that includes video, audio, desktop, sharing data, in transit, and at rest. They do have the managing participant features, so you can control who posts or shares content. I found this interesting with my research. There is even artificial intelligence monitoring of Teams chat, where it looks for evidence of harassment and can ban users and send out notifications of harassment, which I found really interesting. You can also manage who's allowed into Teams rooms either directly or via lobby system. So definitely there's a lot of overlapping security features that Teams and Zoom have. I would say that Teams has definitely been more solid when it comes to security, but Zoom is taking it seriously, and they do have steps in place to ensure that things stay secure for you. Now I'd like to discuss the costs of Zoom and the costs of Teams. Now, as I said before, there is a free option with Zoom, and what's nice about this free option is it's 40 minutes at a time with most major features included. It follows the most recent update. This will include a lobby for allowing users into the meeting and passwords for the meeting rooms by default. I have tested this out, and this is true. It definitely works. I would say the 40-minute video call is a bit annoying, but luckily 10 minutes before the call is about to drop, it does send a notification to everyone in the meeting that the meeting is only going to last 10 more minutes before the call is dropped. Now with the Pro plan, from my research, I found it's $14.99 a month. It supports unlimited meetings for 24 hours in length. It also offers the user management, custom meeting IDs, and provides up to 1 GB of cloud recordings of your meetings. Now, the cost of Teams is different, and I can't emphasize this enough. If you already have Microsoft 365, then you already have Teams in the bundle. Please take this word of advice with you. If you are already paying for Teams, if you are already paying for Microsoft, you might as well be using Teams and using your license to its full capacity. So once again, if you have Microsoft 365, then you already have Teams in the bundle. I would highly suggest using this for your meetings, your chats, sharing files. It's fabulous for everything. Sometimes it's hard to get into different routines, but just try it, stick with it. It's really amazing. I've seen some companies go back and forth between using Teams for chatting, but then going to Skype and talking on Skype, and that's just very not efficient. If you can do everything with Teams, why not use it? And like I said before, Teams does offer free training. Definitely take Microsoft up on that if you need help with Teams. Now, Teams does have a free offering. It has much of the same functionality. You can get a 6-month free trial, which I found out due to the current pandemic, which I thought was really interesting. There's unlimited chat, group audio, and video calling, and there's 10 gigabytes of file storage for your Teams. Now, as far as a paid version, I did find a comparison to compare it to the Zoom. It's $6.99 a month for a personal account. You get the full Microsoft Office suite with apps and services. So you're not just paying for a communication tool. If you sign up for Teams, you also get everything Microsoft related, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, which are core essentials to running a business. You definitely need these. But hey, this is also good for students as well. And then what's really nice is this paid version comes with a terabyte of OneDrive cloud storage per person. And I mean, if anything, this cost is amazing when it comes to the amount of storage space that you get when using Teams. I mean, I feel like this is an incredible trade-off. So who is the winner? Well, it's really up to you to decide, but in my opinion, I would say if you're looking for video conferencing, the winner is Zoom. It's a very easy interface. So you saw pictures earlier. All the video cameras are evenly distributed. You can see everyone's faces. Whereas with Microsoft Teams, now they weren't doing it in the past, but they certainly have made the updates so you can see everyone who's talking, which is fabulous. But I would say if you're looking for more functionality and collaboration, the winner is 100% Teams. So I really hope you were able to decide based off of those points whether or not Zoom or Teams would be better for you. So at this time, I'm just gonna look and see if we're having any questions in the questions and answers section here. Let me just check and see if we have any comments. Okay, I don't have any comments coming in yet, which is all right. Please submit your questions and answers if you have any on the right-hand side. I'm going to just continue my presentation, and if you have any additional questions, we can definitely cover them at the end. In the meantime, I am going to pass off the chat to Phil. He's going to discuss how you can track your usage and optimize Teams. So if you're already using Teams here at TBSC, we offer quick, efficient, and cost-effective Microsoft Teams tracking through our Smarter SaaS. So Phil, go ahead and take over and give a demo of the product.
Yeah, thanks very much, Madison. So one of the things that we are very aware of with customers is often they've deployed Teams, but their users are only using it sporadically. So I'm just going to show an example of how you can optimize your Teams usage and look at individuals' behavior patterns and see how you can help them to do the optimization.
Okay, so before you begin, can you share? Oh, okay, I see your screen has just popped up. Thank you.
Yep. So you should be able to see a dashboard here, and we've got, in this case, we can see that they're using the Teams facilities, but the vast majority of usage, this high bar, is on private chat messages. So obviously things like meeting counts, call counts, and team chats in channels are not being used. Down at the bottom, we can see here some information about individual users. And what I'm going to do is just pull this out and show it as a table so we can get into the information. So you can see here we've got color coding, and anybody using green is a high user of certain facilities. So this user is using a lot of meeting counts. Now, normally we would have the email addresses and the name of the user, but in this case, I've anonymized it because we don't want to show any private data. So we can see the last time it was used, and we can also see here information about their usage patterns. Towards the bottom, we've got similar information, but it's just showing the numerical data and it's showing all of the information. Now, an interesting thing would be to say, well, let's find all of those people who are not using Teams at all, because maybe we should be offering some training. So I can just click activity date, and then we're showing all of the people who've not done anything with their Teams. and I can scroll along here, and we can see there's lots of them that are not doing anything. Now, it's a relatively simple thing for us to be able to pull out all of those email addresses and then start to contact those users to see if they need training or if there's any other issues that they're having. So if we just go back and then start to have a look at, say, for instance, a facility like Meeting Count. A common practice is to use people who are using a lot of meetings as champions in an organization so that they get other people using it. And we can see here the list of people that are very active users, and we can just scroll down and we can see the numerical data all shown here. And maybe those people need more active support, like maybe improved video conferencing capabilities. The other thing that we might want to do is have a look at call count. So say, for instance, call count, here we can see the heavy users, and maybe these are people who would benefit from other facilities like VoIP being added in, and also finding best practices of why they're using it a lot for calls and other people don't use it. The other element here that we can see is team chats, and team chats are quite interesting because that's showing where people are using these channels and work groups, which, as Madison was saying, that's a lot of the efficiency benefits. And these things are often important. Say, for instance, if you've got international users in your organization, you might want to be able start turning on the automatic translation. So if someone's in Germany, they see all of their messages in German, and someone in France would see it in French. So there's lots of extra facilities within Teams that you can do to support these users to enhance these work groups. And again, private chat messages, you can see information here about the private chat. So overall, I would say a good thing to do is start to set targets of the levels of usage you want to get to with Teams, but not just overall we want to have such and such a percent of people using it, but also look at the work practices that you want people to adopt in Teams. You want them to be doing collaborative working, creating those work groups and being able to share the files and optimize their working behavior. So that's just a very quick overview for you. What I'm going to do now is just hand back to Madison to see if we've got any questions or anything, other comments. Okay, Madison, I'll pass back to you now.
Sorry about that. I was trying to figure out how to share my screen again. Okay, so we're back at it. We do have some questions popping in here at the side, so let me just go ahead and review them quickly here. Pull it up. Okay, so the first question that we have here is, will Teams be improving the gallery function? From my understanding, yes, this will be rolled out September to everyone, but I feel like it's slowly trickling in. I've definitely been able to use the gallery function on Teams with my student account. I'm in university as well. So on my student account, it's been fine. I haven't had big meetings yet with my business account to be able to verify this, but as far as what they published, it will definitely be out in September of 2020. They will improve the gallery function by offering to be able to view most of the speakers on the screen, just like what Zoom does. Another question I have here is, can I still make one-on-one calls? Well, depends on if you're talking about Zoom or Teams. The answer is yes for both. And what you mean by call is another thing we need to consider. You can still do audio calls one-on-one with Zoom and with Teams. However, if you need the video, you can also do video one-on-one calls as well with Zoom and with Teams. Now you can schedule the calls, or you can just do a normal call without scheduling. I do have another question popping in. You mentioned using VoIP with Teams. What are the advantages here? I would say, to keep it very brief because I'm not overly familiar with VoIP, is that if you are looking to do calls from landlines. VoIP is a good integration tool for Teams. So it supports users to make voice over IP calls. So you can make, receive, and transfer calls from landlines and mobile phones onto public switch telephone networks. I would say that this is particularly beneficial if your company is switched to mostly remote working now, and I guess your employees aren't using their personal cell phones. You know, why make them use their personal cell phones? Why not just get VoIP and integrate that with Teams and just make it all part of one platform rather than separating and making it, I guess, more complicated, you know, just do it all from Teams. Let's see, I don't have any other questions coming in, so I hope that was able to answer those questions for you. If you have any questions for me, feel free to always email sales@businesssoftwarecenter.com. I can certainly help you out more after the call. If you need to learn more about VoIP and Teams, feel free to email me. I do want to say, because we are coming to the end of our coffee talk, that thank you so much for joining. Our next coffee talk is scheduled for the 21st of August at 10:30 a.m. And that subject is going to be automating your business practices. You can sign up for free for this at sales@businesssoftwarecenter.com/events. You know, we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you had to drop out of this call at any time, we are going to be posting this call on our YouTube channel. You can follow us at TBSC. You can also use the hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC to communicate with us on social media. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can always use the hashtag and I can find it on social media, or you can email me at sales@businesssoftwarecenter.com so I can definitely dive into more detail about any of your questions that you may have. So I'm looking to see if we have any more questions. There's nothing new coming in, so I just want to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, Phil, for going over the benefits of Smarter SaaS for targeting Teams license usage, and I hope everyone has a great Friday. Thank you so much for joining. Bye-bye.